What's up, guys? SAG here, and welcome to another video here today. We have college football spread talk for Saturday. It's late at night. All the games just ended. I want to get this video in time, so I'm recording it right now. I am pretty tired, as you can tell, but I'm not sleeping until we get this done because we had a decent day yesterday, but I want to bounce back. I have a lot of picks for you and a lot of games, so we're going to get to it right away, and I'm going to be a lot faster with this. So first, let's look at our results from Friday night, and it was okay. It was not the greatest. In our money picks, we went 1-1. We won with Michigan State, barely in what was a really close game. And with Virginia Tech, they had lost to Old Dominion last minute. We probably weren't going to get the cover anyways. Credits to Old Dominion. They played a really good game. Virginia Tech couldn't score that much, and that was pretty good. Our average picks went 3-2. Duke dominated against Temple. Tennessee Tech could not get a cover. My apologies. Let me edit this. We actually went 3-1 on our picks. So let me just edit this here. Tennessee Tech did not get our cover. And also Indiana barely pulled out the win in what was a really ugly game. And TCU got done against Colorado. It was kind of close early, low-scoring game, but TCU finally pulled out. Their talent prevailed, and their offense showed. So looking at all-time record, it says 6-2-1, but we're actually 6-1-1, and we're actually 3-1 in our average picks. We're 2-2 in money picks, and of course 2-0 in our avoid picks. Looking at today, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 games I'm going to be taking a quick look at, guys. And there's one extra pick I'm going to throw in there. It's a money pick of mine. I'm not going to preview the game, but I'm just going to say at the recap what you'll see what the money pick is. Ride with this, guys. This pick is going to succeed. So first, we're going to look at 12 o'clock kickoff time. Michigan is at home against Colorado State. Michigan is 30-point favorites. And now, really, the first question is how fast can the Colorado offense get up to speed? They got head coach Jay Norvell from Colorado State. Jay Norvell, the head coach, he was getting every decent transfer he could, really. And, I mean, they're going to need it. They're going to need every transfer they can get because with Michigan, they're a pretty talented team. And right now, Colorado State's just trying to figure it out. They have around 12 transfer starters, and they have several new players, and they're playing against the defending Big Ten champs. And Michigan, they might have lost some stars. Of course, they lost Aiden Hutchinson, but they still got a good defensive front, and their offensive line is absolutely fantastic. And really, for Colorado State, I think the big thing is they got a bunch of transfers. So how fast can they really gel? But at the same time, Michigan, they're trying out, of course, I think it's either J.J. McCarthy or K. McNair. They're taking turns at quarterback. So really here, I don't know what to expect. To me, this number is a bit high, but Michigan could easily come and dominate this game. I just don't know. So I'm going to make this an avoid pick, and I'm going to take Michigan minus 30. But guys, I'm just going to avoid this game. I'm going to take my hands off of it. I don't know what to expect from Michigan, and I definitely don't know what to expect from Colorado State. Next up, we have North Carolina State. They're heading to East Carolina to take on the Pirates. And North Carolina is 11.5-point favorites. And, of course, they're ranked in the top 15. And really, their offense, it should be pretty explosive. They have at least a good passing game. But look at their defense. Their linebackers are among the best in the nation for North Carolina State. And don't think about running on these people. And their secondary is really talented as any team in the ACC. And even though Eastern Carolina's offense is good, and their passing game can be great, they won't get that pass protection against these linebackers, guys. This North Carolina State defense is set up against this East Carolina team. Now, looking for East Carolina, they do have a good rotation of running backs. They have a Holton Allers, who won't be phased by North Carolina State coming in. They do have a concern with offensive line, and that's going to need to be worked, and the transfer portal helped. But their defense is pretty good. So, there's a possibility their defense could really hold up. Now, for me, I'm taking North Carolina State. They're too talented here. The key really for North Carolina State is pushing through. If that offense can break through, they got the defense to match it. The defense is absolutely fantastic. So for me, it's North Carolina State. It's a money pick. I'm taking it at minus 11.5. Next up, we have Rutgers going to Boston College, who are 7.5 point favorites here. And for Rutgers, I mean, they really need an opponent that's not going to really put up massive numbers. And Boston College had a offense that was worst in the ACC last season. They were horrible. Now, the Eagles, they aren't really going to run a ball behind a line that's going to need some work. Now, Rutgers does have its own issues, but secondary might be one of its strengths. And if their defensive back seven can rise up, make some nice plays, it could be close. But really, for Boston College, why they would win, I mean, Rutgers' offense is lacking. I mean, they lost some key parts of the transfer portal. The running game isn't that good. And Boston College defense is greater than the sum of its parts. The line may not be live behind the line, but it'll be able to hold up against a run. I mean, the Eagles were third in the nation in pass defense. And it shouldn't take too much to really lock down an offense that can't provide any semblance of support. So, guys, I'm going to pull an average pick here. I'm not going to go all in because it's 7.5. It's more than one score. Maybe try to clip the point, but I don't even think you need to clip the point here. I'm taking Boston College minus 7.5 for an average pick. Next up, Bowling Green is going to head to UCLA to the Rose Bowl for a 2:30 kickoff to take on the Bruins. The Bruins are 23.5 point favorites. You'll probably get a 23. So I'm going to keep it at 23. Now, why Bowling Green could have a shot? I mean, their offense should be more fun, and they have pretty good receivers, and they have Matt McDonald at QB, who isn't too bad. And that experience should turn into some production. And also, they have some veterans on the defensive line. And, I mean, UCLA does have some new parts of that offensive line that are going to need to blend in. And the receiving courts, the receivers aren't that good. I mean, unless Jake Bobo can really prove he's that number one. I mean, for all the problems really Bowling Green had last year, it does have the best pass defense in the MAC. So that's kind of the hope, really. But even with that, with UCLA, I mean, their pass defense was great because their run defense is horrible. And I mean, they aren't going to make enough plays really that defensive front for UCLA to really work. They haven't. UCLA's renovated offense should really be good enough to get Zach Charbonneau and the rest of the running backs going. This transfer portal that took over the UCLA defense should get an easy warm up. I mean, Bowling Green's offensive line won't do anything, and I mean Hawaii transfer Darius Masu, he should be able to come up everything. I mean, Bowling Green's gonna need a lot of hope to win this game, and I'm taking UCLA minus 23 in the average pick. I think this is gonna be a blowout. Next up, we have Arizona traveling to San Diego State's new stadium to take on the Aztecs, who are 6 point favorites. You can probably get a 6.5, possibly 7, depending on how the line moved, with which sports book you use. So, I mean, Arizona, this is a much better team than what was last season. That got blown out. And the transfer portal is helping. I mean, they're upgrading in key spots as they got Washington State quarterback Jaden DeLara. They got Jacob Cohen, probably to be their new stars. And this isn't really that much of a high-powered San Diego State team, and it has to win on toughness. With 8 starters back and with decent size up front, they could really hold up. But again, I mean, if you're for Arizona, you don't want to be faced. San Diego State's defense is not a defense you want to face if you're trying to get your offense going. The Wildcats have enough playmakers now at the skill spots to have a few nice moments, but can you really generate a push against the defense that's about to be the best in the nation again? They did lose a few guys, but I mean, with the addition of Justice Tavai, I mean, and a few others, and they have a great secondary, I mean, they're pretty good. San Diego State the transfer from Virginia Tech, Braxton Burmeister, came to quarterback. And the offensive side isn't too bad. I mean, for me, I'm going to go with San Diego State here, minus 6.5 average pick. New stadium, at home, got a great defense. Arizona's going to make this closer, but not that much closer because San Diego State's going to come ready. So, next up, we have the Oregon Ducks traveling to Georgia to face the Bulldogs. Georgia is 16-point favorites. You probably can get it at 17. It started at 17. And I mean, Oregon does have the talent to pull this off, and a lot of people remember last year when they won 35-28 in Columbus, Ohio against Ohio State. This Ducks team is not good. They're 11th ranked for a reason. I mean, they might be really the best offensive front Georgia's going to face all season. They have 5 possible All-Stars and pro prospects ready to help up front. And the defensive front, it has some really good parts. And it all helps into the linebacking corps. And again, this Oregon team is relatively good. They're high ranked for a reason. They can give Georgia a run for their money. I mean, look, 16 points is a lot here. We're talking. So with Georgia, I mean, even if it loses all these players to the NFL, I mean, they got the depth to replace it. There's a reason why they've had these great recruiting classes. But to me, it's pretty simple. This line is too much. I'm taking Oregon plus 16 average pick. I don't really want to have much to do with this game, but it's good enough to be an average pick. I mean, I think 16 points against another ranked team is crazy. Next up, Cincinnati's 7-point underdogs. They're taking on Arkansas at home. And this is going to be a pretty interesting game, guys. I mean, Cincinnati, they still have the lines. They have lost a lot of players, but their offensive front's loaded with all-stars and veterans. And, I mean, as good as Arkansas is on the defensive front, it's not going to live behind the line, and it likely won't generate a big pass rush. Even though this defensive side has lost some parts for Cincinnati, their rotation really was good enough, and their talent level has raised up enough. They have the depth to replace, but do they have enough depth to really compete with Arkansas, which is the question. And I mean, Arkansas's running game is really top tier. They led the SEC in rushing, and their passing efficiency should be there really against Cincinnati's secondary that lost some talents, including Sauce Gardner. And their offensive line is pretty good. I mean, this Arkansas defense could be pretty good on third downs. Cincinnati doesn't have Desmond Ridder. I don't know. To me, this is really close, but to me, this has to be an avoid pick. Cincinnati, we don't know how good their depth is, and we're going to find out. We're definitely going to find out here. So for me, I'm just going to avoid this game, but I'm going to take Cincinnati plus 7. But guys, avoid this game. I really don't know what Cincinnati is going to bring to the table. Next up, we have BYU taking on USF. I have to be quiet. I have people around me here, and it's late at night. BYU, they're ranked heading to USF, and they're 11.5-point favorites. Now, BYU's offense is absolutely fantastic. They have a deep group of backs, and Jared Hall, who was fantastic last year, has some veteran receivers to work with. And, I mean, its offensive line is really good. The USF defense was finished 123rd in the nation, guys. And the biggest problem was against run. That's not going to be fixed right away. The Bulls bring a slew of veterans, really, with coordinator Bob Shoop. But there are question marks at tackle and lineup. At tackle, and the offensive line will need a while. I mean, BYU's front five should have an easy time taking advantage of that. But at the same time, USF does have some experience. Even though their defense might not be there, they do bring back most of the key starters, helped by the 1-2 punch at linebacker with Antonio Greer and Dwayne Boyles. The run defense might be a brick wall, but the Bulls will get stops. Those two linebackers are going to be so key for this game. And the BYU defense has to generate more than a pass rush if it needs to hold up on a regular basis, because they're not good against the run. If the USF offensive front can get a push early on, I mean, it could really take over and really keep the defense on the bench. It could keep up with BYU, and that's the big question. Can USF keep up with BYU? To me, the answer is no. Their defense is just that bad. Similar to the Missouri game where Missouri put up 52 points on Louisiana Tech, I think BYU puts up big numbers. They're going to separate, and this 11.5 is pretty low to me. Even though this game's in Florida, BYU is way too talented, guys. I'm taking BYU minus 11.5. Next up, Utah is heading into Florida. They're 3-point favorites. The line moved up to take on the Gators. And first, why Utah will have a good chance of winning. I mean, this is a big game for them. They're 7th seed. They want to be considered in the college football playoff, and they need a statement win. And away at Florida against the SEC team will do it for you. And I mean, this really is the wrong team to deal with if you're trying to get a running game going. Now, Florida has a rising superstar of an NFL quarterback prospect in Anthony Richardson, but this new Billy Napier offense will rely on a balance, and that starts with the running backs. I mean, the Gators' offensive line will be good. A few transfers added to an already okay mix should make this really a plus. But it would have been nice to get a tune-up against like an easier team. It's before having to deal with one of the best defenses. Now, Devin Lloyd and Napi Sewell might be gone, but former Gator Mohamed Diabete is a good one to help the cause. The defensive front will be once again fantastic for Utah, and these tackles are massive human beings. Throw in a secondary full of all stars and pro prospects, and this might be the best defense Florida has to face all year. Now, with Florida, their offense is pretty good. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Their program has been reboot, and they have some transfers coming, and they're going to have to rely on that good rotation on defense. I mean, the talent is there, but everyone really has to hold up because this is going to be a good game. It's in Florida. They have the home advantage. To me, I don't really know. I think Utah is just better. They're the better team. They're better ranked. They have an all-star defense. They have a great offensive line. The talent's there. And they're only 3-point favorites. I get it's in Florida. I get it's in the swamp, but Florida's not that good. The fact that I could just take Utah basically to straight up win is fantastic. I wish I could get this to 2.5. And really, I mean, if it was at 2.5, odds are I make this a money pick. But it's not 2.5. So I'm just gonna take. Actually, I didn't add that game. I'm gonna add it here. Utah -3 average pick, and actually we got 11 games in. My apologies, ladies and gents. But yeah, Utah's gonna take this game, guys. They need a win, and they're gonna get it. Next up, we have Notre Dame going up against Ohio State. This is basically the big game. It's a college football playoff like showdown, and Notre Dame is 17-point underdogs, guys. I get they're away, but my goodness. I mean, Notre Dame, I mean, it has a pretty good team. I mean, with the new addition of Marcus Freeman as the head coach, their program is supposed to be good enough. I mean, it is Ohio State, but this defense is pretty good. And I mean, the Notre Dame offense is pretty good as well. It's great at receiver and has an amazing tight end in Michael Mayer. And after a year of rebuilding that offensive line, the payment is about to come. On the other side, Freeman, he's a defensive coach, and his coordinator, Al Godin, knows what he's doing. And between the great minds, this with a secondary loaded with NFL talent, amazing linebackers, this defense should be the storyline coming out of might be of the team wearing the road uniforms. I mean, Notre Dame has a fantastic defense that can line up against Ohio State. And Ohio State's a great team, though, and this is what's going to make it interesting. Again, their defense there wasn't all that bad. They got a new defensive coordinator now, the former Oklahoma State one, and he's going to help that. And their offense is absolutely fantastic. When you have C.J. Stroud and a balanced attack like this is a good team. I mean, Tyler Buckner, he's going to have to have the game of his life for Notre Dame to really win because, I mean, Ohio State's offense is absolutely talented. For me, guys, I have to go with Notre Dame plus the 17. I mean, you can't be giving up that much points. They're going to stay in this game, guys. They're a good team. They're a playoff team. I get this is in Ohio State at nighttime, but I'm telling you, Notre Dame's going to stay in this game. They're a really good team. So I'm taking Notre Dame plus the points. Next up, we got Louisville versus Syracuse. Louisville is 4.5-point favorites at the Dome. Now, Louisville's offense is pretty balanced and should be able to explode at times. I mean, Malik Cunningham is a signature star, but Louisville is more than just the dual threat playmaker. The passing game will be better this season, but it's the running game that's going against a green-orange front three that should be able to control the game at times. The Cardinals, they have a great deep group of backs behind a line that get 4 starters back and should once again be among the best in the ACC pass protection. I mean, if you give this guy Malik Cunningham time, he's going to show up. I mean, Louisville have always had great quarterbacks, and Malik Cunningham is that. Now, for Syracuse, there is a bit of hope, I guess. I mean, Louisville's defensive front isn't going to be amazing, and Syracuse's ground game is pretty good. Their pass rush should be able to work fine, but, I mean, the Cardinals are going to get bashed by teams that can run. The 1-2 punch of Sean Tucker and bruising QB Garrett Shader were held in check last year, which was one of Louisville's best performances. But I think it's going to be much different. These two rushing stars are really talented, and Louisville's not going to be as good against these guys. Looking at this game, guys, I mean, come on. Are you really going to take Syracuse right now? Louisville's only 4.5 favorites, 4.5 point favorites. Maybe I could wish it was less, but come on now, guys. Louisville's way better than these boys. They're going to beat them up. Take them at minus 4.5, make it a money pick. This is Malik Cunningham, guys. This is one of the best offenses in the country. They are absolutely fantastic. Look, guys, take it while you can get it, because Syracuse is known to be bad, and they still are bad, and they're definitely not near Louisville. And it won't be a blowout exactly like last year, but it'll be by more than one score. I'll tell you that. That's easy. Even if it's 6 points, we still win. 7 points. I mean, come on, guys. This is a gift, it feels like. So money pick, Louisville, minus 4.5. Last but not least, we have Boise State taking on Oregon State, who are 2.5 point favorites. Now, for Boise State, they might need to replace a slew of key players, but their defense has been able to hold up, will be able to hold up against that Beaver running game. The secondary will be great, and Hank Bachimer and the passing attack should be good enough to overcome a few concerns. The Oregon State defense was a struggle last season, and it's going to take a while to be great this year. Even the secondary has talent, but it got hit for 244 yards per game, partly because there wasn't any sort of pass rush to rely on. Oregon State will probably need this to get into more of a shootout than it might like. Last year's team couldn't handle Utah State in the Los Angeles Bowl, and it was wildly inconsistent. As long as Boise stays steady, it should be able to hang on. But at the same time, does Boise State really have a ground game to rely on? They have no push up front. They were 110th in the nation in running, and Oregon's run defense should be fine. I mean, Boise State's going to have to go through the air to win this. And Oregon State's offense should be much stronger with a great balance, as decent receiving corps, and a line that won't give up a whole lot of plays in the backfield. The attack doesn't really have to be explosive. It just has to be able to own the clock and convert on third downs. And I think with Oregon State at home, they're going to have a bit of momentum. They still were pretty good near the end of the year. I'm going to take them at minus 2.5. Make it an average pick. The Broncos cannot run the ball, guys. They really cannot. But it's just going to be an average pick. Oregon State, minus 2.5. So, guys, let's quickly look at the recap. Let me just scroll up. So, for our money picks, I'm going to add one more here. Here's your surprise. I'm taking Kentucky over Miami, Ohio. SEC against MAC. First half, minus 7.5. A ranked SEC team against a MAC team. And you're giving me this line? Oh, absolutely, I'm taking this. Miami, Ohio is a good team, but not this good. To be like bro. Kentucky is a ranked team. They're great. Take them at minus 7.5 first half. NC State minus 11.5 and Louisville minus 4.5. In my average picks, I have UCLA minus 24, BYU minus 11.5, Boston College minus 7.5, San Diego State minus 6.5, Oregon State minus 2.5, Notre Dame plus 17, Utah minus 3. In my avoid picks, I'm taking Michigan minus 30 and Cincinnati plus 7. Taking a lot of favorites today, guys. A lot of favorites. So, if you liked what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe, and let's win some cash, guys. I'm SAG here with College Football Spread Talk, and I hope you have a fantastic day.